It's time for a reality check.
We're here to deconstruct health and fitness trends and provide tangible advice so you can become 1% better with each choice starting today. Welcome back to Reality Check. We are your hosts, Jess and Jill. And Jess and I were just having a conversation about giving birth and what it looks like, and vaginas when you give birth. And did you have the mirror when you gave birth? Did you not? And she was talking about the Netflix movie Office Romance, because we love Roy. I don't know his actor name. Roy Kent is the only name that I need, but
Brett Goldstein.
Brett Goldstein, whatever. He's Roy Kent and J-Lo.
Obsessed.
And we love him so much, but I was saying that I hadn't watched it yet, and Jess said there's a scene in there where there's a delivery and you can see the full shebang, and I was like, no, I don't want to see that.
And as somebody who has given birth twice, it was still like, holy, like that's what really happens. And Brett was like, yeah, that was pretty good depiction of it, actually.
He's like, that is actually what a vagina does.
Okay, time out. The reason we were talking about this is because both of our husbands are very like discreet gentlemen. Like, I don't think that my husband passes gas, actually, and we've been dating for 15 years. Meanwhile, I'm over here like wide open. And Jill said her and her husband were talking about this because he was like, wait, I feel like you haven't always been this like open about like bowel movements and stuff like that, bodily functions. And she said, you know what? I think after giving birth, like everything goes out the window. Yeah, like at that point, it's like there's no other bodily function thing.
I was a little backed up this weekend before a hike, and then of course it all hit when we're at the top of the mountain, 50 minutes away. I had no cell service, no access, couldn't find a porta potty, so I had to be one with nature, and that's fine. I don't care. I had the resources to clean myself up. I did what I needed to do, and we move on. It's okay.
But yeah, childbirth really does a whole thing to you psychologically.
You just don't care.
Like, you don't care anymore. But yeah, the mirror thing. So like, I am not squeamish. I could be in like a surgical room watching something that other people might think is like gruesome or traumatic, and it would not faze me. However, they were like, do you want to see the baby coming out? Like, here's the mirror. And I'm like, yeah, of course, whatever. As soon as I saw that head, I was like, take the mirror away. I don't want the mirror, because I saw like her hair, and I was like, I didn't realize that I thought I was way further along.
I didn't know there was a baby coming out of me right now.
So I thought like the head's about to pop off, but it was like one of those moments where it was like the head is coming out, because that's how much it felt to me.
Baby doll's head was about to come off.
Meanwhile, it was like mid contraction, mid push, where it like kind of shrinks again a little, and it didn't look like that much. So I was like,
you're going too far. I can't listen to this.
Listen, that's why I thought they had to take the mirror away, because I was like, I can't psychologically keep going if I'm not as far as I think I am along. So it was like a disconnect with my brain.
I'm repulsed by this.
It wasn't I'm repulsed. It was like I need to know that I'm further than I am. Get that mirror out of my face right now. So anyway, I've never actually seen a labor. So like that movie, that was astonishing. And I actually am kind of glad that they showed it. People should see the miracle birth.
I'm good. I gave birth. I don't know what it looks like. I don't need to know what it looks like. I don't care what it looks like for anybody else. I still think babies come out of thin air. They don't come out of vagina.
I don't know. It was pretty wild. So anyway, have fun watching that movie.
Is that in the beginning of the movie?
No, it's like towards the end.
Okay. Maybe we'll just fast forward that part.
No, I wish I didn't tell you now, because you do need to watch and it's very quick. It's over with quick. This is like the fastest labor of all time. Very quick.
Love that for her.
Anyhow. Yeah.
That's great.
Oh, what were we talking? Oh my gosh, this is perfect for our episode. Our lab episode. Okay, today we're talking about constipation as part of. Is that the episode?
Wow, what a segue! I forgot that was our topic today.
I know. So today's episode, we are continuing our lab series, and we keep adding to this lab series. This isn't directly related to. Okay, here's the perfect data ranges marker, of anything. Yeah. However, this being constipated and not having regular elimination is one of those things that then can create all these other issues if you're not actually eliminating the toxic stuff that your body's trying to get rid of. And this is one of those things that I think there are so many helpful, useful tools Every single person's reason that they're constipated might be a little bit different. So we wanted to go into, okay, if we think it's this, try this thing. And I'm somebody who my doctors from childhood have told me I have IBS. Oh, you have IBS, hon. Just bring a water bottle to school. Like I had a note because we weren't allowed to bring food or drinks to school. In elementary school, I was allowed to bring a water bottle because my doctor always just said, drink more water. I had those Metamucil cookies almost every single morning because I was always constipated. Meanwhile, I had chronic kidney infections. Like I have like a ureter reflux thing that I was born with. I was on antibiotics every day of my childhood, like as a preventative for infections, right? So obviously my gut microbiome is all jacked up because they're giving me antibiotics constantly. And their solution is, here, take some Metamucil and drink some water, right? Okay, well, that really never helped. It was never a consistent thing. And then really within the last, like, I don't know, 6-7 years, when I started learning more about gut health, I did my first protocol with a functional practitioner before our team did that type of work ourselves. And it really did a number for like bloat, rank gas, constipation, all the things, right? So I'm like, oh, this is really cool. I didn't know I could have a normal system. Like I would say throughout this journey of my gut dysfunction, and I'm not going to act like it's not also my own inputs. Like sometimes I eat a lot of different foods and I'll eat takeout Chinese food and I'll eat, you know what I mean? Like I'm not helping myself here. But there have been a couple specific tools that have really helped me. And some of it is a physical thing of, oh, my body wasn't producing the bile that it should produce to help me when I'm digesting higher fat meals. Here's some tools that I can help with that particular thing. There was another season of my life, postpartum, specifically like within a couple years postpartum, where I'm doing all the right things. I'm eating really healthy, nutrient dense foods, but it was a mechanical issue. I went to a myofascial massage specialist. And it was like clockwork. Every time I saw this woman she massages me in spots that end up releasing my fascia around my hips and my pelvic floor, I would leave and I would have regular bowel movements for the next couple of weeks.
I know these times that you've had that, you're like, dang, it just really opened everything.
It was just, and it was because I'm stressed out and I'm tense and I'm not breathing properly with my diaphragm, right? Well, that's a very different solution than, oh, go take more fiber, right? So Jill has created this little constipation guide for our clients' use where we can kind of say, okay, step 1, let's try this. Step 2, let's try this. And here's the different systems that it impacts. So we kind of just wanted to go over that because we think it would be helpful for everyone. And especially if you're somebody who is like, okay, I'm trying to work on my liver health or my gut health or whatever. Elimination is key. We have to make sure we're having regular bowel movements before then working upstream. If we're killing off toxic stuff in your gut, it needs to go somewhere because we can't start that process or we're going to create a clogged system for lack of a better word, right?
Yeah. And it is interesting. I in my early coaching years, if somebody ever struggled with this, I would always go immediately to fiber, water, walking. Those things are not wrong, right?
We still go to that
still
first,
foundational, right? But the beautiful thing about functional labs is constipation still isn't a root cause of something, right? So you can be constipated and have estrogen dominance. You can have gut dysfunction. You can have SIBO. You can have all of these other issues, but constipation is still not a root cause, right? I hear like slow motility constipation talked about as a root cause of SIBO. And I'm like, it certainly can contribute to it, but that's still not why is your motility slow? Why can you not go to the bathroom? So labs can be very indicative of that too, of like looking at thyroid and looking at other markers that will tell us, okay, maybe this is the driving force. So I have a client right now who has had recurrent SIBO or lingering, I guess. It kind of ebbed and flowed over the years. And she was like, she's been in this like kill phase forever. And I've talked about her on a recent episode, but she has very low thyroid. And I'm like, listen, our main problem here is thyroid, right? Like there's down regulation. Now that low thyroid is definitely the root cause of her slow motility and constipation. But then also the next layer of that, which is a little off topic, is why is your thyroid low, right? So like we keep going down the line. So then if we fix motility and support motility, that's fine. So we have prokinetics, we have magnesium, we have walking, we have lymphatic support, ileocecal valve massages. We have all these things layered in to help with constipation and motility because we know thyroid is low, specifically free T3. But now for her, right, we have to go further down the line for the root cause. So it's just knowing that constipation, I guess saying it a different way, regularity is so critical for your health. And you know, Jess talked about the elimination piece of it. That is the beautiful thing about labs and functional health is actually looking at a root cause. And I feel like root cause is a term that's like thrown around inappropriately these days. But in this context, I mean, I came from a bodybuilding history where I would take laxatives. I would do all of these crazy things for the sake of weight loss. Now knowing how important it is, I think going through the hormone journey that I went through, knowing the health, not benefits, I guess, standards for going regularly and how critical it is for so many things. I just really wanted to stress that because constipation can be connected to, again, low thyroid, just mentioned bile flow, low stomach acid, which is generally driven by a high stress lifestyle. Under eating is always going to be one of the biggest contributors to a lot of things that we talk about with dysfunction in the body. But,
and that's also actually, I'm going down a tangent here, but right now we're having so many women come to us with suspected SIBO, and a lot of it is under eating because of excess GLP-1 use. So your motility
under eating, but
slows
also
down.
the slowing of motility and
That's
not
what I
doing
mean.
anything to support it.
So your motility is slowing down because of this, and then it's creating this opportunity for the bad pathogens to grow within your system, and it creates this imbalance. And unfortunately, a lot of times mentally, it's the toughest journey mentally, more so than physically, because a lot of times now women have connected this standard of health to this low weight number. And it's like, we have to feed up. We have to do a muscle building phase. We have to get your body actually nourished and having typical GI tract movement, right? We have to do all of this stuff at higher calories and you're going to gain weight. And if we can keep your inches down, that's a win. But again, now you're tying all of your wins to the scale number, and it's going to be mentally uncomfortable before you realize, oh snap, the scale doesn't have to be associated with body fat gain if it goes up, right? We might need that scale to go up to create a healthy environment to just live in the body that you're living in, or to set yourself up for a future deficit again in a healthier way.
Yep. And we'll talk about a couple different things through this. I mean, I think we know what constipation is on a basic level, right? Obviously not going to the bathroom regularly, but there are different variations of this. And also, if you haven't heard of the Bristol stool chart, we talk a lot about poop with clients in protocols. The Bristol stool chart is a visual of type 1 to type 7 stool. So 7 is far in the opposite direction, where you're going to frequently just nothing solid, and type 1 is like very solid, hard to pass. So we want to be a balance of really, like type 4 obviously is like perfect, type 3 to 4 for your stool. So again, it seems very silly to talk about poop to this degree, but it's important to understand what it means to be normal and regular. And a lot of women come to us saying, I've never gone to I've been constipated my whole life. I've been doing this as a kid. And they believe that that's never going to get better. But I know when somebody says, I've been constipated my whole life, there are foundational habits to optimize, of course, but I can pretty much predict what type of dysfunction I'm going to see on their labs based on what they share, because
also it depends on their lifestyle, right? Like I have a couple specific clients in mind that I'm like, it's stress again. Yeah. And I was that profile too. Yes, I had gut dysbiosis, likely from years and years of antibiotics. But also if I'm stressed out and I'm breathing, like think about your fight or flight state, right? We're breathing very shallow. Okay, you're not actually your whole lower half gets really tense because you're supposed to be expanding through the diaphragm and through your whole like thoracic cavity, right? That can create the muscular tense thing where we're not. So sometimes it could be as simple as go to a yoga class where you're just deep breathing and learning how to inhale into your lower back, right? Like, anyway, sorry for my little interruption again there, but
the labs are the side effect of this lifelong
Yes.
constipation, right? So the goal is to have 1 to 2 soft form bowel movements a day. So frequency matters, but the quality also matters. So are you going daily? Where are you landing on the Bristol stool chart? Do you feel like you've completely emptied when you go? Are you straining to go? Are you, speaking to a lot of women that we work with, do you need coffee, magnesium, laxative supplements to go to the bathroom? And again, we layer in magnesium prokinetics supplemental support to get somebody moving, to get motility going and doing what we need to do and pulling water into digestive tract and all of those things. But you shouldn't need to rely on them forever. If you're still bloated even after going, do you feel like something's sitting there? Do you alternate between loose stool and constipation? So it's not just the absence of a bowel movement in your day, although obviously that's a pretty telltale sign and indicator, but it can be incomplete. It can be the wrong texture. It can be that you're straining. It can be sluggish transit. And those things are really important to address so that you don't end up with different levels of dysfunction later. So, but those are all of the ways that you can, like that constipation can look, but why it actually happens. Jess and I mentioned this already. We're always going to look at foundational habits first. So I'll have some clients who are in the depths of their calorie deficit and they're like, I don't feel like I'm like eliminating as much. I'm like, well, you're also not eating as much, right? Like we still want to be regular and we still want to support digestion, but you just aren't eating as much food right now. So that's not an abnormal thing, but we look at fiber, we look at actual food volume. If you are a chronic undereater, fiber intake's going to naturally be lower, right? You're eating just lower food volume. But then also we're not feeding your good bacteria if you're not getting enough nutrients in. So that can also lead to constipation in and of itself, right? So when women come to us initially and are under eating, our goal always is to get women eating more because they need to be, right? If they've been chronically dieting. So we need something that's going to we need enough food to stimulate the reflexes for digestion, the actual bile flow, the secretions of your enzymes to do what they need to do, the stool formation, right? All of those parts of digestion starts in your mouth, right? So there are all of these different components that we have to look at. Yeah.
Chewing helps release those digestive enzymes. And food quality, you touched on this, but food quality really matters too. I say this because, again, I have a lot of women who, especially from the bodybuilding type background, where they're like, well, I eat plenty of fiber and it's like a high fiber wrap several times a day, but we're not getting any variety of fruits and vegetables and prebiotic type foods that are feeding that good gut bacteria that's going to help us internally.
And fiber just alone sometimes can actually make constipation worse depending on where you're at in the process, because if you're not, fiber binds to water. So if you're not drinking enough water, it's funny. I just talked to a friend about this. He was like, I was traveling and I was like so constipated and I remembered that fiber was important. So I ate all this fiber and then I was in so much pain and I was like, you have to drink water and get electrolytes in. He was in
electrolytes too, not just water, but the water and electrolyte pair is the full hydration picture.
Yeah. I forget, he was in another country and I'm drawing a blank on where he was, but it was very hot. So he was like, I was sweating my ass off all day. I'm like, so extra hydration, extra electrolytes. Like, of course you were constipated. So low hydration, water is a big deal. Again, stool needs fluid to stay soft and to move easily, but hydration, Jess mentioned, this is also mineral dependent, right? So we need those nutrients, the sodium, the potassium, the magnesium to help with muscle contraction, the signaling of nerves, and the ability of the colon and the digestive tract to actually move that stool forward. So again, if you can also drink a lot of water and not get enough electrolytes and minerals and be dehydrated too. So it's just important to understand what hydration actually means and of course how that impacts digestion overall.
And it works both ways. Like I have clients who take element or instant hydration, they're doing an electrolyte packet a day and they're drinking like 40 ounces of water a day. And I'm like, no, like don't add an electrolyte in intentionally when you're not even drinking water either. Like both need to climb equally for balance.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I mentioned this at the beginning, but low thyroid output and specifically low T3 is a big flag to look at when it comes to digestion. Thyroid helps regulate metabolism and cellular energy production. And when that output is low and systems, everything down regulates, right? Those systems slow down, including digestion. And again, under eating in and of itself is going to downregulate that function. So if you're under eating, not only are you not getting enough food and nutrients in, but you're downregulating that thyroid process and that thyroid output. So digestion is just going to slow, right? And hypothyroidism can slow down, again, all systems and functions and organs. So the key issue here is motility. So T3 is your active thyroid hormone. And if you have low active thyroid hormone and or poor T4 to T3 conversion, T4s are inactive form, high reverse T3 is indicative of a slower metabolism and higher stress, or just obviously if you just have general undertreated clinical or subclinical hypothyroidism, then the colon might not contract with enough like rhythm and strength and like oomph to move that stool through efficiently. So again, if somebody's under eating, there are multiple reasons stemming from that why someone might call themselves constipated. And right, we talked about it's not just not literally passing a bowel movement. There are different parts that go with that. So fiber, water, cool, check the basics and the boxes, but low active thyroid, specifically T3, is definitely a common contributor to slowed peristalsis, which is that contraction and that movement of stool through your digestive tract. So that's a big one. And then of course, stress can also contribute to low thyroid in general, right? Presenting as somebody with lower thyroid or downregulated thyroid, not even low necessarily on your labs, but just downregulated or subclinical can also contribute to these symptoms. And also, I think to remember too that there's not this specific point where I'm like, okay, if free T3 is under this, you're going to be constipated and you're at risk of XYZ. Everyone presents differently. And we've always have to look at the big picture. And everyone's also, threshold where they do or don't have symptoms could look totally different from one person to the next too.
And also you're saying this so that we can say, hey, then let's work upstream to help. Like thyroid issues are a trickle down of other things. It's not the issue in itself. I say this because if somebody's like, oh, I have that, I better go get on a thyroid medication. That's not what we're saying at all here. Mm-hmm. So again, reducing stress. Nourishing.
Yeah, stress is
reducing intensity. A lot of those things actually can help quite a bit. Mm-hmm. And okay, so leading into the next one, stress and nervous system dysregulation. There's a million reasons why stress has impacts on motility. Some of it is mechanical, like what I was saying. It's a physical, okay, well, if I'm not breathing, I'm not releasing, I'm relaxing those muscles down there. There's also stress impact on gut microbiome and on our gut lining and our ability to absorb nutrients on our gut microbiome. And are we allowing the bad stuff to flourish and the good stuff is being repressed, right? So it can't grow as much. All of these things are trickle downs from stress, but stress is huge for digestion. And some of it is just the nervous system, like, am I in a sympathetic fight or flight state or a parasympathetic rest digest? Literally rest and digest is in the thing, right? State. Can we slow down when we eat? Can we take a breath? Can we wake up and drink some water and go for a little walk before just slugging caffeine? All of these things allow our body to actually slow down, and oftentimes that in itself, wake up and have a little morning routine rather than just rolling over and looking at your emails right away. That can help with your bowel movements. I've done several protocols in the past, right? But like during when we typically run a client through like what we call a liver flush, part of the suggestions that we have are to help increase bile flow and help increase stomach acid and things like that. And we'll recommend like dandelion tea, or wake up and have a cup of warm water with lemon juice. Literally, the cup of warm water with lemon juice is all it takes for me to be regular. That one thing. But while I'm doing the protocol, I'm like, wait, is it the lemon juice itself? Or is it the fact that I'm sitting on my front porch in the sunshine, enjoying a warm glass of something that isn't
And
coffee?
relaxing.
And I'm relaxing for 10 minutes before starting my day. Like, I think it's a combo of both of those things, right? So again, just slowing down. I talk about this with clients a lot, but like we have a lot of perceived urgency when something is not a rush, but we're so conditioned to go, go, go all the time that I'm like, why am I stressed right now while I'm just like talking to my kids about their homework? They don't need to rush through it. Like we could just hang out together and do it. Or while I'm doing the dishes or while I'm cooking, why don't we just enjoy the experience of life? Can you be mindful and notice those little moments? So one, when you're eating, slow down. Try not to eat on the go. Try not to eat while scrolling your phone or watching TV. Can you just sit down and enjoy your meal? That's also going to help physical digestion wise because you're going to be more likely to chew more, right? Like, so there's all these things, but slowing down in life and slowing down around your meal times can be a real game changer for most people.
And the vagus nerve, talking about like stress and nervous system, is basically like the master highway of your gut brain axis. So it controls that parasympathetic or rest and digest state that Jess was talking about. So it helps drive digestion by triggering the gastric acid and enzyme release and stimulating muscle contractions that move food through the intestines and lowering gut inflammation. So when we talk about stress and then low stomach acid, which is funny, we talk about this a lot, but so many people go to the doctor and say, oh, I have heartburn, I have indigestion, I have reflux, and they're put on a PPI or an antacid, but it's actually typically low stomach acid. And then we're throwing on something that is further lowering stomach acid. So it's very temporary symptom relief, but they're actually doubling down on the problem. But the vagus nerve helps signal to the stomach to produce acid and enzymes while also signaling to the pancreas and the liver to release bile for fat breakdown that you're moving through digestion. And then it helps regulate the muscular contraction or that peristalsis required to push food through. And from an inflammation standpoint, it releases acetylcholine to calm the immune system and reduce that inflammation. But it also is your gut brain feedback to give information about hunger and satiety and discomfort back to your brain. So we can't ironically stress enough how important it is to manage stress when it comes to digestion and how big of an impact it can have overall. And then low bile flow is another, Jess mentioned this, but bile helps break down those fats and support the fat soluble nutrient absorption and stimulate that motility. So I think I just was talking about a supplement earlier that, and I don't want to name a supplement because it depends on the person, but that really helps with, it's a prokinetic, so helps with motility, helps with bile flow. So there are supplements out there depending on what you need, but don't think I'm constipated, I must have low bile flow, or I must have this. Like, obviously getting evaluated individually is important. And then
we recommend it's like if somebody has had I feel like a lot of people have gallbladder issues or they've had their gallbladder removed. If that is the case, we do recommend some sort of bile support.
Yeah, always for life. If you've had gallbladder removed, you'll want some support there for digestion and fat breakdown and absorption. And then we talked about low stomach acid and just upstream digestion, how constipation can be more than just not going to the bathroom. So we want to look at that. And again, low stomach acid is not a root cause. We want to look at what's contributing to that, which is typically, again, unregulated stress or nervous system and or under eating are going to be your biggest contributors to that.
And signs of likely having low stomach acid are like more refluxy type symptoms. So I'm burping after my meals. I'm bloated shortly after eating. I have reflux. You can do a test and just have apple cider vinegar on an empty stomach before you eat. And if you feel like, oh, wow, I'm less bloated or these symptoms have kind of gone down, that's a pretty good little indicator that it's a stomach acid issue. The solution is not to take acid blockers because that then is not helping your natural acid production. That could make it worse over time. So again, then we want to figure out, okay, how can we help your natural production? But again, the apple cider vinegar test is just an easy thing to point you in the right direction if that's your particular issue.
Yeah. And then, we talked about SIBO and gut imbalances. When it comes to constipation, because motility is slower and stool and, food or digested or not is just sitting there collecting dust, basically, right? So bacteria starts to grow, with the variation in the fermentation of food and all of these things. And then you get that buildup of bacteria in your small intestine. Obviously, SIBO is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So, constipation is definitely a major contributor to SIBO. But again, obviously, you've gathered up to this point that constipation is not the root cause of SIBO. We have to figure out why you're constipated. But SIBO is the most common. And we're seeing it more and more. And I think we're seeing it more and more because of high stress, GLP use, and just poor eating habits, in my opinion.
And if you have SIBO, you become more prone to like bloat and fermentation issues, essentially. So a lot of times this is not the solution. This is just a symptom management while we work on the solution. But eating a low FODMAP diet can be helpful. FODMAP is an acronym for specific types of starches. I say that because sometimes people will be like, oh my gosh, garlic makes me bloat. So now I have a sensitivity and I can never eat garlic for the rest of my life, right? So we're saying, oh, fiber is helpful for constipation. Meanwhile, if you eat these certain fibers and you do happen to have SIBO, you will likely experience more bloat because your body is not actually able to handle the fermentation that it should be able to handle. So, again, if you're experiencing that, I don't want people jumping to the conclusion of, oh, I can never eat these foods again. It's like, no, you could eat a lower FODMAP diet and try to get your fibers from other places temporarily while fixing the SIBO and doing these other things. And then you should be able to reintroduce all those normal foods and digest them fine. I just say that again, because sometimes people will be like, oh my gosh, I just added all these fruits and vegetables and now my bloat is so much worse. Like, this isn't healthy for me. Okay, time out. This is likely, I want to give you guys most likely this could be what's going on. And you can diagnose SIBO through a breath test with your doctor, but it's like, okay, now what do I do with that information, right?
Yep. And then there are medications and supplements that can contribute to constipation. But again, generally speaking, if you're doing all of the other things we've discussed on here in terms of fiber and lots of nutrients and not chronically under eating and managing your stress, you should be able to mitigate the side effects of that. Obviously, GLP-1s are one of the biggest ones. So you just have to know that while you're on that temporarily, as it should be temporary, that you might need to layer in additional motility support. You might need prokinetics. You might need a little bit of extra magnesium than the average person that's not on a GLP. So knowing that, again, that should be temporary, but being mindful that you're still going to the bathroom regularly. I can't stress that enough, because the last thing you want to do is go on a GLP, lose weight, and then create another health problem later. And then just a sedentary lifestyle or poor abdominal pelvic mechanics. Jess obviously talked about that for herself. Movement stimulates motility. So if you don't get enough steps in your day and you're sitting all day at your desk, get up and move, doing a little bit of hip stretching, going for a walk outside and just disconnecting for a second, making sure that you're relaxing enough to fully release what you need to release, is going to be really important too. So we just need to make sure that we're looking at all of those areas and being mindful of our habits, generally speaking. And then conventionally, obviously, we don't want Band-Aid solutions. I think we've explained the difference between root cause, and it's really tough to see clients who spend years from their doctor giving them a prescription of Miralax or stool softeners or things. You should not have to take those things. Those are Band-Aids, and we have to figure out why you actually have slow motility in the first place. And then obviously, I think we know what constipation leads to in terms of symptoms of bloating and abdominal distension and gut imbalances. We talked about SIBO. Estrogen recirculation is a big one. If you're not going to the bathroom and you feel like you have heavy PMS or cycles or anything along those lines, we know that it's time to look at digestion in some fashion. And same thing, if you have poor detoxability, you can't fix detox until you fix regularity first. Like that's going to be super critical.
So I guess, can we talk about some, not interventions, but some things that we do recommend that are healthy, supportive solutions? So we already talked about de-stressing, moving. In terms of specific foods, I often like recommending resistant starches. So if like green bananas, there are certain types of fibers that are resistant starches. Resistant starches can help to act as like prebiotics to feed the good bacteria in your gut. Something that you can do is you can cook and then cool potatoes and rice. And there's something about that process of cooling it within like a half hour of cooking it that actually turns it to a resistant starch, which can be more gut friendly. And it stays a resistant starch even if you reheat it. So a lot of times I'll prep rice or potatoes for the week, and then I will cool them, and then I'll reheat them later. I'll mash up potatoes and put cheese on it and toss in the microwave, or I'll reheat the rice and have it with dinner. Okay, cool. Now it stays a resistant starch. And there are a couple, again, I don't like recommending specific supplements. This is not what I'm associated with, but there's like a supplement on Amazon that I buy that it's a resistant starch prebiotic. But when you look at the ingredients, it's literally like it's like artichoke root and green banana flour. And it's like these things, but in a supplement, just to help out. But kiwis, prunes, flax seeds, oat bran, like that's a really good fiber source in general. Apples, pears, cooked vegetables are going to be a little bit less abrasive than raw vegetables. What else? We talked about like warm water in the morning can be helpful. Water with a little bit of squeeze of lemon in it, or lemon juice, can be helpful.
Natural motility. Also, I mean, Jess mentioned like artichoke, but like bitter herbs for bile support. Prokinetic supplements are great. So again, magnesium citrate specifically draws water in to like soften your stool and help pass it through. But if that's not the issue, then prokinetics can be great for the actual motility of it. But walking after meals, circadian rhythm regulation, again, making sure that you're eating enough food, getting enough minerals, regulating your stress, like even just a couple of deep breaths before you sit down and eat your meal can go a very, very long way. So I think thinking about things like that as well.
And yeah, we talked about like under eating, but also over exercising is a stressor, right? So anytime somebody's like, yeah, I think I have gut and hormone issues, I'm going to go to CrossFit 5 days a week, or I'm going to go do a high rocks or whatever. I'm like, oh, that's competing with that other goal you just told me about, right? And again, movement is good, exercise is good, but our exercise to recovery balance needs to be there. If we're always in this go, stress state, and we're undernourishing, our body is systemically stressed out, even though you feel like, no, it feels good. It's like, it feels good to your dopamine and like adrenaline system, but it's not actually going to help you get into that state of recovery that you need to be in for digestion.
Yeah. So, and then there's like, psyllium husk, again, different variations of magnesium. Oxide is like, I need to go to the bathroom tonight, tomorrow. Again, that's not, I'm not like take oxide for life, because you definitely shouldn't do that. But again, stomach acid support, digestive enzymes from a supplement standpoint can all be really helpful. But again, it just depends on you and what the actual driver of your constipation is. So again, adding fiber, we're talking about these different foods, but make sure you're not adding too much fiber too quickly from whatever your baseline or your average is. Taking supplements can be good, but they should be temporary. Magnesium specifically can help move things in a pinch if you really need to like get something out, but
magnesium citrate specifically, or oxide, not oxide, like, yeah. And actually that's an important point to go on another note. A lot of people take magnesium supplements because they're like, it'll help my nervous system and my sleep. But then they're taking these magnesium blends that are essentially just mag citrate. That is literally just taking a laxative, right? So if you're taking magnesium for sleep support or for nervous system support, take glycinate, not citrate. If you're taking it as a short-term constipation solution, take citrate. And you talked about bitter foods a little bit, but like, I think I'm thinking practical ways. Like I'll add arugula with my eggs in the morning, or I will, I make a lot of like almost like chimichurris where I'll do a whole head of cilantro in there and garlic. Those types of things are helpful in like with the bile production, also bitter foods.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you want to make sure, through gut protocols, we work with a lot of women who have previously worked with another provider and they continue to have issues. And I think so often providers will give supplements based on what the lab says, like a GI map says, but they don't actually address motility, under eating, lack of nourishment overall. So just make sure that you're not solely taking supplements for the sake of addressing motility and constipation, that you understand why you're constipated. Otherwise, whatever these issues, downstream issues you're having are going to be recurrent. Don't wait until you're pooping once a week, because there's going to be a lot more to address. And then obviously making sure you're getting enough minerals with your water. I've seen women that say, well, I drink 2 gallons of water a day. I'm like, okay, so you're actually flushing everything out and likely creating a new problem, right? So we want to make sure that we're not washing away those helpful minerals that we need to support this process too. So are you eating enough food to create the output? Are you getting enough fiber, fluids, minerals for the stool quality? Is your thyroid supporting normal gut movement? Is your nervous system allowing proper digestion and elimination? And then is there a deeper issue like methane, dysbiosis, poor bile flow, low stomach acid that we need to look at to dig into what the actual root cause is ultimately? So, our thought process is like, what's actually happening? How do you describe this? What's going on? How are you presenting? Obviously, looking at labs if you're a client, we'll always open up elimination and regularity first so that we can go into detox. If you try to do some detox protocol and you don't poop, guess what you're doing? You're extracting all of these toxins and pulling everything out. You're going to feel like shit, and then you're just recirculating it in your body. You have to be able to eliminate that. You're going to get
worse headaches. You're going to get brain fog. Like you'll have worse detoxy type symptoms too.
Yeah. Supporting bile flow. So Jess said bitter herbs, artichoke, arugula, dandelion, lemon water.
Dandelion root, or like licorice tea. I feel like both of those are ones that I tend to include.
Yeah. No licorice for blood pressure people, but supporting stomach acid and digestion. Again, chewing, eating without rushing, not multitasking when you eat. We'll layer in things to support stomach acid for clients through a gut protocol. But again, shouldn't necessarily be long-term. But if you do live a generally higher stress lifestyle based on career, whatever it is, just knowing that you might need to do something to support stomach acid in the long run is something to think about if you can't remove all of the stressors all the time. And then just getting to the root cause, right? And healing actually and addressing what the problem really is, versus just symptom treatment of reflux or burping, or I can't go to the bathroom, or my stools are loose and then I'm constipated, or right before my cycle is the only time that I eliminate. There is a hormonal component to that, with the shift in estrogen and progesterone levels, where you do release a little bit easier, and then other parts of your cycle, you might get a little bit more backed up. So then we have to look at that next layer, right? We got to peel back the next layer of the onion and see, all right, why is this happening and how do we balance it out? So, hopefully that's helpful in really understanding poop on a deeper level and how important it is to go every day. And, hopefully we could entertain you with our antics related to poop. That was not an intentional, topic discussion leading up to today's episode. So,
no, it was not.
You're
I was
welcome.
like, start recording. I can't believe I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, next week, I think we still have a few more episodes left in this lab series, but I think next week we're going to take a little pause from it and talk about some lessons we've learned along the way. I feel like just life lessons as we're going into this journey of our Solvi app, and really like taking a huge risk that a lot of people around us could not understand. We want to talk about things that have driven us, and like advice that has really helped, and advice that has been terrible advice. Now that we're looking back, we're glad that we ignored it. So next week, we're going to talk about that a little bit. We were wondering if you guys would want to hear more about our like little founder's journey of how it's going, because we just got off of a development call right before we started recording this, and we are outside of our comfort zone, learning new things every single day. And sometimes we're crossing our fingers and toes. Like, we hope that we did all this homework the way that they needed us to. And then they tell us like, great, we're moving on to the next phase. And we take a big sigh of relief, right? So like all of this is a totally new learning curve for us. If you guys want to hear about that, our app mission is very, very health related. However, us being business owners developing an app is a whole new world of challenges. So anyway, if you guys ever want to hear about that stuff, let us know. But yeah, we have, I think, like 3 more episodes maybe in our lab series. So give us feedback, guys.
It's been fun. It's been fun to dive into this. So as always, if you guys have other topics that you want to hear from us, let us know. We're always happy to dig into those things. But hopefully this was helpful, and see you guys next time.